Joe Smoke Gaming here, bringing you a new video here. This is going to be the top 4 people that I expect to be Kurt Angle's mystery reveal for tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. Rumors been floating, circulating all around the globe, all over on YouTube, everywhere you could imagine. People are trying to chime in, giving their opinions on who they believe is Kurt Angle's reveal. But I'm going to give you who I believe is Kurt Angle's mystery reveal. We're going to share probably some of the same thoughts, opinions, revelations, but without any further ado, keep in mind that this is, only my opinion, no one else's, though we might share the same opinion. So, without further ado, let's get to our number 4 person, Bayley. Odd one out here. Do I see it happening? Probably not. But they've been doing this whole thing with Corey Graves, the whole subliminal messaging, with how he did with Enzo Amore and Big Cass. How basically, Corey Graves will shake the hand of the attacker. Big Cass shook his hand, found out later on that it was Big Cass that attacked Enzo Amore. So maybe they're doing this whole thing with Corey Graves again. I bring up Bayley because Bayley hugged him not that long ago. It was shown on TV, and it's on the internet if you look. So, with that being said, is this another subliminal message from the WWE saying, hey, Bayley might be involved in this somehow? Not necessarily as Kurt Angle's love interest, because Bayley is 20-25 years younger than Kurt Angle. Maybe coming on as his illegitimate child. Maybe WWE is trying to bring back some nostalgia with the Attitude Era. That's back. Well, I don't want to say that's their Attitude Era, but back where they gonna do the whole thing like they did with Hornswoggle. That whole Hornswoggle Vince McMahon JBL thing, where basically it was found out for a while there that Hornswoggle was Vince McMahon's illegitimate son. And of course, you found out it wasn't. JBL told him that it wasn't, and that ended up leading to a match between him and Finlay. Maybe they're going to end up doing the same thing here with Bayley, because after all, Bayley's character is lost right now. They don't know what direction to go with Bayley. She's keep getting buried in matches after matches. You once knew her as a women's champion. Now, they don't know what they want to do with her. She's in odd and in situations every week. So maybe this is going to be their way of saying, hey Bayley, we can still use you, and this is how we're going to do it. We can't necessarily find a way to use you, in a wrestling match every week, and, we feel that you're not fitting right now for the women's, title picture, but by all means, we still need you here as a competitor because you still attract people. You have fans. So maybe this is the way that they're trying to go, where they're trying to still have Bayley there every week, to still use her, not necessarily as a wrestler personality, but as an on-screen character. Now, on to the next one. Kind of likely. I can see how this could play out, and we are talking about Sable. Now, this is really bringing back the Attitude Era. Sable was well known back when she was in WWE. You remember she was first married to Mark Merrill. They split their ways, and then she ended up getting with and then marrying and then having kids with Brock Lesnar. I could see this going in a way where this could be an affair. She can come in and confess her undying love for Kurt Angle. She could be like You know, this affair's been going on for years, back when you and Brock Lesnar were first in the WWE. And she could build this up so well. You know, I've always had interest for you, all the plane rides we took together, secret hotel meetings. I mean, you could put anything together to make it seem like a legit affair. And they could, because they've been around each other for years before they all, you know, went their separate ways. I could see a good thing coming out of this. This would definitely be the big surprise if she was to be Kurt Angle's, you know, mystery reveal. Because after all, Kurt Angle says, "Oh, this might hurt me, this might damage me, but the world has to know." You know, so maybe this is the world has to know, and saying that Brock Lesnar has to know, because after all, this is his wife, and I'm screwing around with her. And maybe even go as far as to say that one of Brock Lesnar's children isn't really his, Kurt Angle's. You know, do that kind of, like I said, JBL hornswoggle type storyline. Can I see this happening? Yeah. Will it happen? Maybe not so much. But I guarantee you Brock Lesnar has to have some type of hand in this. But on the other hand, Brock Lesnar has to lose the title eventually. Whether he loses at SummerSlam or later on, he has to lose that title. And when he does, if he's interested, or if he has any more working dates left outside of what he's already doing, then who else to have a feud with than Kurt Angle? He's already had it with Triple H. He's already had it with John Cena. He's already had it with The Undertaker, Goldberg. You can throw in Roman Reigns, little Seth Rollins, or whatever, Dean Ambrose. So why not bring nostalgia back 100% and have Sable involved, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar? Simple as that. Therefore, you bring Sable back, you bring her into this storyline affair with Kurt Angle, then now that introduces now Brock Lesnar wanting to fight Kurt Angle, and then that was set up, maybe not necessarily a SummerSlam match, but maybe a match in the future, maybe WrestleMania. That might be a little too far out, maybe, but at least the very earliest at SummerSlam. I can see this working out if the creative team actually sit down and think this all the way through from point A to point B. I believe that it could work out to be a magnificent feud. Now, of course, it's going to be something different for Brock Lesnar, because every time you're seeing Brock Lesnar, you are used to seeing him in the main event, the title hunt, or he's actually holding the title himself. But, you know, outside of, you know, the heavyweight titles with Goldberg and, you know, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, this will be a feud that could benefit both Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle, you know, as they try to have a more memorable second return when compared to their first. Now, on to the next one. Stephanie McMahon. This I could see happening a lot more, and this will really tie in with the person after this. But we're going to focus on Stephanie McMahon for right now. Now, we all know what happened at the last WrestleMania. Stephanie McMahon took the bump, landed, crashed through a table, and that basically wrote her and Triple H off of TV for months. Now, you know they're not going to keep Triple H and Stephanie off of TV too long. Well, because whether you like them or not, they are the power couple, okay? And keep that in mind. Power couple. They are the power couple. They are known. They are the symbol of Monday Night Raw. You know, whether you like them or not, when they are there, they produce numbers, they produce results. They always get big pops when they first appear, and of course eventually trickle down the line, they're gonna start booing them. You know, that's fine, they're heels, that's okay. But maybe they want to bring them back to boost ratings up now. Because after all, SummerSlam is the third of 4 big pay-per-views of the year. Of course, Survivor Series is the last one of the year. So they're, you know, when these big pay-per-views come, they want to build this, you know, WrestleMania type spectacle, you know, where anything can happen. You know, you're going to see surprises thrown in there. It's going to be this mega event. It's probably already going to be 4 hours. You know, when they start the pre-show at 6 and then start the pay-per-view itself at 7. You know, because there's a lot of potential stuff that they have to fit in SummerSlam. They have to fit this in. I do see it happening. She could either come back as that love affair still, that undying love for Kurt Angle, or they had an affair back when Kurt Angle was first here. They could do that with her as well. That could be damaging. Kurt Angle again said, you know, this could damage me if they find out who you are. So maybe this is, you know, the damaging thing. And then maybe now that sets up a Triple H Kurt Angle match. Because now with her comes Triple H, maybe even Vince McMahon. So you might see a lot of people start popping up on Monday Night Raw. So they could have her come back that way, or they could have her come back as only Stephanie McMahon knows how to do, is as a double cross. Come back as the supposed love interest just to double cross him on a later episode of Raw, which either way will still set up a match between Kurt Angle and Triple H. Hopefully at SummerSlam. Last and perhaps the number one person, Dixie Carter. Now, at first, I was kind of torn by this decision, or by this choice, because a lot of hardcore fans, and there are a lot of WWE hardcore fans out there, they do not know who Dixie Carter is. A lot of hardcore fans never watched TNA. You know, it was just WCW, WWE, or WWF back then, and then that was it. But Dixie Carter, for those of you that know, and I'm not speaking 100% fact there probably, but she used to own TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. She was a major stakeholder in that company. She stepped down, so she only has a minority stake in that company, but she doesn't handle their daily affairs. She probably just collects some revenue from it or whatever. But also, she was featured on the WWE Network with Kurt Angle just recently. I haven't watched the interview, and I probably should have before I watched this video or before I made this video. But she stays in Nashville. Monday Night Raw is in Nashville. She lives literally probably right down the road from the arena. So it will only be fitting for her to appear on Monday Night Raw with Kurt Angle, you know, confessing again her love interest. I do believe whoever this is, it's going to be a whole love interest thing. But, you know, her and Kurt Angle have a long storied history together. You know, they knew each other for years in TNA, both as friends and as foes. So, with that being said, I do believe that Dixie Carter will be the one to appear tomorrow on Monday Night Raw. And then, of course, with Dixie Carter will come Stephanie McMahon and will come Triple H, which will set the ultimate power struggle. Now, I don't see them having a mixed tag match because Dixie Carter is no wrestler. Stephanie McMahon is to an extent, but Dixie Carter is not trained for that. I don't think we'll see that, but I think it'll be the whole, again, Kurt Angle, Triple H setup at SummerSlam, I hope. Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, they need to come on TV. That is absolute certain. They need to come back on TV. But whoever is Kurt Angle's mystery reveal, which I believe is Dixie Carter, need to be just as powerful as Stephanie McMahon. Now, of course, she's technically not as powerful as Stephanie McMahon, but you go from one owner of one company to part owner of another company. It's, like I said, it's the ultimate power struggle. You know, and of course at the end you already know what's going to be the deal. Triple H, Stephanie, they're going to always come on top. They always will. And then when it's all said and done, dust settled, that would be Kurt Angle's exit. You know, and then exit into retirement. Because Kurt Angle's not going to be wrestling for the next 5 years. We all know that. So this his last run is probably even just enough to hold him over to the Hall of Fame. Maybe he'll go into the Hall of Fame next year. And that will be his last match. You know, or, you know, this would be his last little run. So basically this is my opinion on who I believe will be revealed as Kurt Angle's mystery person. It could be, like I said, Bayley all the way up to Dixie Carter. I don't think Bayley so much, but I really do believe it will be Dixie Carter. I have no doubt that it will be her. I do believe that, you know, this segment is going to happen within the last 15 minutes of Monday Night Raw, so we will have to stick around all the way until 10:45 in order to see who the mystery reveal is. Hopefully we don't have to, but you know we will have to, which is perfectly fine. It sets up for a cliffhanger to close the show. So let me know in the comment box below what you thought of this video. Who do you think is going to be Kurt Angle's mystery reveal? Hell, it could be Eric Bischoff. You never know, but this is Joe Smoke Gaming. And until next time, folks, take care. Check out Monday Night Raw.